hit the subscribe button. Currently only 1.7% of my viewers are. Subscribe once we hit 1,000 subscribers. I'll release an exclusive special video, just for you.
The sky over Sydney turned an unnatural shade of crimson, casting an eerie glow over the city's skyline. Panic rippled through the streets as citizens gawked upward, their faces etched with a mixture of awe and terror. Hovering above the Opera House, a colossal alien craft, its surface a sleek amalgamation of obsidian and shimmering light, blocked out the setting sun. Jack Lawson stood on the rooftop of his laboratory, his eyes fixed on the ominous spectacle. A seasoned scientist and former Marine, Jack's life had been a series of calculated risks and daring feats. Today, however, his curiosity was tinged with a rare apprehension. He watched as a smaller craft detached from the main vessel and descended towards the heart of the city, a clear signal of first contact. His phone buzzed urgently in his pocket. It was a summons to the Prime Minister's office. Jack grabbed his coat, his mind racing with possibilities, and headed for the city center. The conference room was a hub of activity. Military officials, scientists, and government leaders huddled around a large table, a holographic projection of the alien ship hovering above it. Prime Minister Harris, her usually composed demeanor now strained, stood at the head of the table. "We've received a message," she announced, her voice steady but laced with tension. "The aliens call themselves the Asleal. They've demanded to speak with our leader. But there's more, they seek a champion, someone to face their queen. If we refuse, they threaten to destroy our cities, one by one." A murmur of disbelief spread through the room. Jack, though, remained silent, his mind already piecing together the implications. He knew that volunteering for such a mission would be perilous, yet something within him stirred, a blend of duty, curiosity, and an unyielding drive to protect his world. "I'll go," he declared, his voice cutting through the chatter. All eyes turned to him. "I'll face their queen." Prime Minister Harris's gaze met his, a flicker of relief crossing her features. "Thank you, Jack. Your bravery is commendable. We'll prepare you immediately." Within hours, Jack was suited up in the most advanced gear humanity could offer. His suit, a marvel of technology, was designed to withstand extreme conditions and provide him with enhanced capabilities. As he boarded the small craft that would take him to the Asleal mothership, he took a moment to reflect on his journey. The ascent was smooth, the city shrinking below until it became a mere speck. Jack's thoughts turned to his past, his time in the military, the battles he had fought, and the friends he had lost. Each memory was a stepping stone that had led him to this moment. He knew the stakes were higher now than ever before. The craft docked with the Asleal mothership with a gentle thud. As the doors opened, Jack stepped into an alien world. The corridor was bathed in a soft, pulsating light, the walls alive with patterns that shifted and flowed like liquid metal. An Asleal envoy, tall and elegant with an otherworldly grace, awaited him. "Welcome, Jack Lawson," the envoy spoke, its voice a harmonious blend of tones that resonated deeply. "Our queen awaits you." Jack followed the envoy through the labyrinthine corridors, each step echoing in the surreal silence. The air was filled with a faint, metallic scent, and the walls seemed to hum with a life of their own. As they walked, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the sheer sophistication of the alien technology. Finally, they reached a grand chamber. The doors slid open to reveal the alien queen, a towering figure draped in regal attire, her eyes glowing with an intelligence that seemed to pierce through Jack's very soul. The chamber was adorned with intricate designs, each telling a story of the Asleal's history and power. "Human," the queen's voice echoed, commanding and serene, "you dare to face me?" Jack stood his ground, his resolve unwavering. "I am Jack Lawson. I come to represent humanity. What do you want from us?" The queen's gaze softened, a hint of curiosity replacing the initial intensity. "Your kind has potential. We seek to test your worthiness. If you succeed, we offer alliance. If you fail, your world will fall. The weight of her words hung in the air. Jack knew the trials ahead would push him to his limits, but he also understood that this was humanity's chance to prove itself. Taking a deep breath, he nodded. I accept your challenge. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as the massive doors of the chamber sealed shut behind him. The air inside was heavy, filled with an otherworldly energy that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. He took a moment to steady his breathing, the gravity of his situation settling in. Ahead of him, the alien queen's gaze was unwavering, her eyes reflecting the challenge that lay before him. Your first trial will test your mind, the queen intoned, her voice echoing softly in the grand chamber. You will navigate the maze of illusions. Trust your instincts and remain focused. Jack nodded, determined. The envoy led him to a side door that slid open silently, revealing a dimly lit passageway. Stepping inside, he felt a chill run down his spine as the door closed behind him, plunging him into near darkness. The walls around him shimmered, creating fleeting images that danced on the periphery of his vision. He moved forward cautiously, his senses heightened. The maze seemed to shift and change with each step, the walls morphing into scenes from his past, his childhood home, the battlefield, the faces of lost comrades. Each illusion was crafted to evoke strong emotions, to distract and disorient. Jack clenched his jaw, refusing to be swayed. He knew the path to success lay in distinguishing reality from illusion. His footsteps echoed eerily as he navigated the twisting corridors. At one juncture, he came face to face with a holographic projection of his late father, whose stern face softened into a warm smile. Jack, it's been so long, the figure said, reaching out a hand. Pain lanced through Jack's heart, but he shook his head, dispelling the illusion. You're not real, he muttered, pushing past the apparition. The maze continued to test his resolve, but he remained steadfast, relying on logic and intuition to guide him. Finally, after what felt like hours, Jack emerged into a large, circular room. The walls glowed with a soft, pulsating light, and in the center stood a pedestal with a single, glowing orb. He approached cautiously, his mind racing. This had to be the key to completing the trial. Touch the orb, and your mind will be free, a voice whispered, echoing around the chamber. Jack hesitated, then reached out, his fingers grazing the cool surface. The moment he made contact, the room dissolved around him, and he found himself back in the grand chamber before the queen. Well done, human, the queen acknowledged, a hint of respect in her voice. You have proven your mental fortitude. Now, you must demonstrate your physical prowess. Prepare for combat. Jack's muscles tensed. He had anticipated this. The envoy led him to another area, a vast arena filled with alien flora and strange, shifting terrain. As he stepped into the center, he heard a low growl. Emerging from the shadows was an Asleal warrior, towering and formidable, its eyes gleaming with a predatory intelligence. The warrior charged without warning. Jack sidestepped, his military training kicking in. The arena became a blur of movement and sound as they clashed, the Asleal's brute strength pitted against Jack's agility and strategy. Each blow he landed was calculated, aimed to exploit the warrior's weaknesses. But the Asleal was relentless, adapting quickly to Jack's tactics. Sweat dripped down Jack's brow as he fought, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The ground beneath them shifted constantly, adding an extra layer of complexity to the battle. With a final, desperate maneuver, Jack managed to outflank the warrior, delivering a decisive blow that sent it sprawling to the ground. Exhausted but triumphant, Jack stood over his fallen opponent. The queen's voice resonated through the arena. You have proven your strength and cunning, Jack Lawson. One trial remains. Follow the envoy. The final test took place in a serene, garden-like environment, a stark contrast to the previous trials. The envoy led Jack to a small pavilion where the queen awaited. Her eyes, filled with an inscrutable wisdom, met his. This final trial is of the heart, she said softly. You must confront your deepest fears and desires. Only then will you be deemed worthy. Jack nodded, his resolve unwavering. He stepped into the pavilion, feeling an immediate sense of calm. The air was fragrant with the scent of alien flowers, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. As he closed his eyes, memories and emotions surfaced, his mother's gentle voice, the pride of his first scientific breakthrough, the pain of loss and failure. He confronted each memory, each emotion, allowing himself to feel their full weight before releasing them. Tears streamed down his face as he relived the pain of losing his friends in battle, the guilt of surviving when others had not. But with each release, he felt lighter, more at peace. When he finally opened his eyes, the Queen was smiling. You have faced yourself, Jack Lawson, and emerged whole. You are worthy. Relief washed over him as the Queen extended a hand. Humanity and the Asleal shall be allies. Together, we will achieve greatness. Jack took her hand, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment and hope. The trials had tested him in every way imaginable, but he had emerged stronger, ready to face the future. As he left the pavilion, he knew that this alliance marked the beginning of a new era for humanity and the Asleal, one built on mutual respect and cooperation. The triumph and relief from his recent trials still lingered in Jack's mind as he walked back to the Grand Chamber. The Queen had declared humanity worthy of an alliance, but the journey had been arduous. Jack knew the path ahead was still fraught with challenges, not just for him, but for all of humanity. The door to the Queen's chamber slid open, and Jack stepped inside, his posture upright and determined. Your courage and perseverance are commendable, Jack Lawson, the Queen began, her eyes shimmering with an unreadable expression. But our alliance comes with responsibilities. The Asleal face a threat from a rogue faction within our ranks, one that seeks to destroy this new partnership. You must help us neutralize this threat. Jack felt a surge of anxiety but quickly suppressed it. I understand. What do you need me to do? The Queen's gaze hardened. You will lead a team into the heart of their territory. We have intelligence on their base of operations. Your mission is to infiltrate, gather crucial information, and, if necessary, eliminate their leadership. A sense of dread settled over Jack, but he nodded resolutely. I'll do it. For the sake of our alliance. Hours later, Jack found himself aboard a sleek, smaller craft, heading towards the rogue faction's territory. The team consisted of Asleal warriors and human operatives, all handpicked for their skills and loyalty. Among them was Lieutenant Sarah Connor, a sharp-eyed strategist Jack had worked with during his military days. Good to see you again, Jack, Sarah said, her voice a steady anchor in the whirlwind of events. Likewise, Sarah. Let's get this done, Jack replied, appreciating the familiar presence. The journey was tense, filled with briefings and strategizing. Jack could feel the weight of his new role bearing down on him. The craft finally touched down on a desolate moon, the rogue faction's base hidden within its craggy surface. The team moved silently through the dark, rocky terrain, the only sound the crunch of their boots against the ground. The Asleal warriors led the way, their advanced technology scanning for threats. Jack and Sarah followed closely, their senses attuned to every movement and sound. Base is just ahead, one of the Asleal whispered, pointing to a faint light in the distance. As they approached, the scale of the base became apparent. It was a sprawling complex, heavily guarded and fortified. Jack signaled for the team to halt and gathered them for a final briefing. We go in quiet, gather intel, and get out. If we encounter resistance, we neutralize it quickly and efficiently. Understood? Jack's voice was firm, leaving no room for doubt. The team nodded, and they moved forward with precision. Inside the base, the atmosphere was tense. The corridors were dimly lit, filled with the hum of machinery and the occasional murmur of voices. Jack led the way, his senses sharp. They reached the control room, where vital data was stored. Sarah hacked into the system, her fingers flying over the controls. Got it. This intel will expose their plans and help us dismantle their operations. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the base was plunged into chaos. Jack swore under his breath. We've been made. Move out, now. The team sprang into action, their training kicking in as they navigated the maze of corridors. The sound of footsteps and shouts echoed around them. Jack led the charge, his mind racing to find an escape route. Over here. Sarah shouted, pointing to a side passage. They barreled down the narrow corridor, blasters firing at the guards who tried to intercept them. The passage led to an exit, but as they reached it, a squad of rogue Asleal blocked their path. A fierce battle ensued. The air was thick with energy blasts and the acrid smell of scorched metal. Jack fought with a determination fueled by the knowledge of what was at stake. Beside him, Sarah and the Asleal warriors held their ground, their combined strength pushing back the rogue forces. Finally, with a last, desperate effort, they broke through the enemy lines and made it to the exit. The team scrambled aboard their craft, and Jack barked orders to take off. As they ascended, the rogue base receded into the distance, and Jack allowed himself a moment of relief. Back on the mothership, the team was debriefed. The data they had retrieved was invaluable, and the mission was deemed a success. Jack stood before the Queen once more, exhausted but resolute. "You have done well, Jack Lawson," the Queen said, her tone filled with approval. "The threat has been significantly weakened. Your bravery and leadership have proven humanity's worth." Jack nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and fatigue. "We did it together. This alliance is built on mutual strength and trust." The Queen's eyes softened slightly. "Indeed. Our future is brighter with you by our side." As Jack left the chamber, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The trials had tested him in ways he had never imagined, but they had also forged a bond between two very different species. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but for now, they had taken a crucial step towards a united future. The atmosphere aboard the Asleal mothership was electric with anticipation. Jack stood in the central command room, surrounded by both Asleal and human allies. The data they had retrieved from the rogue faction's base had revealed a crucial weak point in the enemy's defenses. Now, they were planning a final strike to dismantle the rogue faction once and for all. Prime Minister Harris's holographic image flickered before him. "Jack, this is our chance to secure the alliance and ensure peace. We're counting on you." Jack nodded, his resolve unwavering. "We won't fail, Prime Minister. The Asleal and humanity will prevail together." As the briefing concluded, Jack took a moment to prepare mentally. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. He glanced around the room, catching the eye of Lieutenant Sarah Connor. She gave him a reassuring nod, her confidence bolstering his own. "Ready to save the galaxy, Jack?" Sarah's tone was light, but her eyes were serious. "Always," Jack replied, a determined smile on his face. The fleet moved through the vastness of space, a coordinated dance of human and Asleal ships. Jack's heart raced as they approached the rogue faction's stronghold. The base loomed ahead, a fortress of formidable defenses. The plan was simple but dangerous, a full frontal assault to draw out the rogue forces, followed by a surgical strike to take out their leadership. As the ships closed in, the space around them erupted in a cacophony of laser fire and explosions. Jack's craft weaved through the chaos, his hands steady on the controls. He could hear the constant chatter of his team over the comms, each voice a lifeline in the tumultuous battle. "Stay focused, everyone," Jack commanded. "We need to breach their defenses and take down their command center." The battle raged on, with human and Asleal fighters working in unison. The bond forged between the two species was evident in their seamless cooperation. Jack's craft led the charge, breaking through the enemy's outer defenses. He landed in the heart of the stronghold with his team, ready to complete their mission. The interior of the base was a stark contrast to the serenity of the Asleal mothership. Dark corridors, flickering lights, and the smell of burning metal filled the air. Jack and his team moved swiftly, their footsteps echoing in the dimly lit passages. "We're close," Sarah whispered, checking her scanner. "The command center is just ahead." Jack nodded, signaling for silence as they approached. The door to the command center slid open, revealing a room filled with rogue Asliel operatives. At the center, their leader stood, a figure exuding authority and menace. "Jack Lawson," the rogue leader sneered. "I knew you would come." Jack stepped forward, his eyes locked on the enemy. "Your reign of terror ends today." A fierce battle ensued, the room filled with the sounds of clashing weapons and shouts of determination. Jack fought with every ounce of strength he had, his movements a blur of precision and power. Beside him, Sarah and the Asliel warriors held their ground, their combined efforts turning the tide of the fight. The rogue leader was formidable, but Jack's resolve was unbreakable. With a final, decisive strike, he disarmed the leader, bringing him to his knees. The room fell silent, the enemy operatives surrendering as their leader was subdued. "It's over," Jack declared, breathing heavily. "The Alliance stands victorious." Back aboard the mothership, the mood was celebratory. The rogue faction had been dismantled, their threat neutralized. Jack stood before the alien queen, the weight of recent events settling over him. "You have done well, Jack Lawson," the queen said, her voice filled with respect. "The bond between our species is stronger than ever." Jack bowed his head slightly. It was a team effort. Humanity and the Asliel achieved this together. The queen's eyes softened. "Indeed. This alliance marks the beginning of a new era. Together, we will face the challenges ahead and forge a future of peace and cooperation." Jack felt a sense of pride and relief. The trials had tested him in every conceivable way, but they had also strengthened the bond between two very different species. As he looked around at his comrades, both human and Asliel, he knew they had achieved something remarkable. Prime Minister Harris's holographic image appeared once more. "Jack, you and your team have done an extraordinary job. The world owes you a debt of gratitude." Jack smiled, his heart swelling with a sense of accomplishment. "Thank you, Prime Minister. We did it together." As the celebration continued, Jack found a quiet moment to reflect. The journey had been long and arduous, but it had also been transformative. He had faced his deepest fears, fought against overwhelming odds, and emerged stronger. The alliance between humanity and the Asliel was a testament to what could be achieved through courage, resilience, and unity. As he gazed out at the stars, Jack felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. The trials were over, but the adventure had only just begun. Together, they would build a brighter, more unified galaxy.